Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss about few more scanner class methods available. In the previous video, we would have discussed some scanner class method which is used to get the input from the user as tokens and store it into a variable of particular data type. Now here we are going to discuss some methods which can be used as a check to ensure that the next token to be input is of matching type or not. That means you are going to check whether the next token, the token which you are going to get it from the user, is of matching type. Say for example, I want to input integer numbers, integer values. I can easily check by using some of the methods, check whether the number is an integer and accept it as an input and store it into a variable. Suppose if it is not an integer value, I can omit that number. Okay, so you can basically use these methods in an if statement so that it is used to check and returns true or false value. So we will move on to the first function, boolean hasNextInt open and close bracket. You can notice that has is a lowercase character and you can see capital N for the next word and you don't have space in between, and then capital I for the next word. So first character of each word will be capital letters, and it has three words, hasNextInt. That means has will indicate it is a question mark. So the question asks whether it is an integer or not. If it is a question, then obviously the answer will be yes or no. So in this case it is boolean value, true or false. So this function returns true if the next token can be expressed as an integer value, otherwise returns false. That means it will only check, it won't input any value, it will just check, take the token, check whether it is integer. If it is an integer, return true. If it is not an integer, return false. You can see an example here. You can see system.println enter a number. So once you enter a number, this function hasNextInt will take that number and check whether the number is an integer. If it is an integer, then it returns true, that will be stored in B, okay, which is a boolean data type, and then display that value on the screen. So you can see here an example, enter a number. You can see 23, which is a number, that is integer value. Since it is an integer value, it checks the condition, that is if integer NextInt, which is 23, and it returns true to B, that will be stored in B and that will be printed. You can see true is being the output here. Next example, enter a number, but here you can see it is not a number, it is a character. Since it is a character, it returns false. Next function is boolean hasNextLong. So same like integer, this also will be expressed, the token, this function returns if true if the next token can be expressed as long type, otherwise false. So same like integer, it will check whether it is a number. If it is a number, it will return true, otherwise it returns false. So you can see an example here. So you got a number which is a long number. Since it is a long number, you can see hasNextLong, which will be checked and it returns true, and which will be stored in B and it will be printed. Next you can see an example where you have decimal values. Okay, it is a floating point number. Since it is a floating point number, it is not an integer value, so it returns false, and which will be stored in B, that will be displayed here. Next is hasNextFloat. This function returns true if the next token can be expressed as float value, otherwise returns false. So you can see hasNextFloat. So it will take the value, checks whether it has decimal values. If it is a floating point number, then it returns true. You can see the example, it returns true. Suppose if it is not a number, if it is a character, it returns false. Suppose if I enter a integer value, what happens here is if it will be converted into a decimal value by adding a 0. Okay, say for example, if I type just 89 without decimal digits, okay, so this function what will check is, check whether it is a number. If it is not a decimal value also, it will add a 0 to that, okay, because of implicit conversion, and it will convert it into decimal value so that it becomes true and it will display true here. Next, same like float, it will check double value also. This function returns true if the next token can be expressed as a double value, otherwise false. So here instead of float you have double, so you got an double value Okay, same logic is being used. If it is an integer value also, it will be converted into double value and returns true. If it is another other than numbers, it will return false. You can see ABC is a string which will not be a number, so it returns false. Next is boolean as next boolean. So here it check whether the value is given is true or false. It has only two values available, two constant values, true or false. If any one of this as input is given, then it returns true, otherwise it returns false. So you can see hasNextBoolean has been used. So it will take the text token and check whether it is a boolean value. So you can see an example: enter a number false, which is an boolean value. Since it is a boolean value, it returns true, so you are getting the output as true. And here another example, you can see enter a number, it is 1. Since it is an integer, it returns false. Next is boolean as next. So this function returns true if the scanner object has another token, otherwise returns false. You know, Java accepts all the input as string. So if you enter any value, that is whether it is a number, whether it is a decimal digit, whether it is a string, whether it is character, everything will be accepted as string. So that's the reason you can see first example, enter a string Java, and then you can see true is being displayed because it is a string. Enter a string, second example, you can see it is 12. Okay, but you can see the output is also true. Reason is the 12 will also taken as a token and it will be checked whether it is a string. Since Java accepts every input as string, this is also considered as string, and then it will be stored into it will be stored true in B, and that's why you are getting the output as true here. Same way, hasNextLine. This function returns true if the scanner object has another line, otherwise returns true false. So here also you can see line of text will be taken, that is including space. If you have a token like that, the whole sentence or string will be taken, the full line will be taken, checks whether it is having a token, okay, which is of any of the data type, it will be returned true. It doesn't check whether it is a string, it is a character, or it is a number, or it is a decimal value. It just returns true if you have a line of tokens. Hope you understood the scanner methods available. We meet you in the next video. Till then, thank you.